All right, welcome one and all to the first class in the brand new revamped AutoCrit 101 series. And hey, Becca, thanks for kicking it off with me.
Of course.
We are so excited because we have launched a slew of new tools that have completely changed the game about our editing journey here in AutoCrit. We have launched so much over 2025 that we have done new slides, new contents, new everything for this today. So if you have done AutoCrit 101 before, you can forget about some of that. We're going to relearn with all the new and improved and easier ways to do things. If this is your first time, shout it out. I want to see how many of you are here for the very first time ever. Yay, first timers. Hello there, Heather and AC, Vanessa and Annie and Emma. So many new people. Oh my goodness. Ah, Becca, look at all our new
I
friends.
know. I'm really excited.
All right.
Some of the things. Also, for the folks who say that you can't turn on your video, you should be able to turn on your video. It is enabled on our end. Don't know what happened there. So I want to see your face. I always want to see your faces, but if you don't want to show your face, that's also fine.
Yeah.
Hey, Grants Pass. I am from Oregon as well. So hello, Oregon.
Anna's here for the first ever AutoCrit class.
Excellent.
Nice. So AutoCrit 101 is a series of classes designed to help you streamline or learn how to plan and write and edit and format and do market research on your book with your AutoCrit tools. So this is going to be a AutoCrit heavy class series. This is the first class today, and we have several more after this. We have broken up planning and drafting in this new round of classes because there are so many tools devoted to both now that they really need their own separate class. We will be taking questions throughout this class. And while this class is intended for first-time people who have never planned before, it can be used to streamline how you are currently outlining your book if you're looking for a way to save time and energy, and time means more books written, which as a professional, I mean, Becca, that's more money in your pocket if you have to spend less time. So
I am all about making my life easier and continuing to fill my bank account. I don't know anyone who's like, I would like to do things the hard way and with no money, because that is how I started doing this stuff. So I want to be streamlined, I want to be smart, and also I don't want to build a life that I have to survive in my writing career. I want to build a life that I can thrive in. What is the point of getting to do all of these things if all I do is spend 18 hours a day locked in my office, like hunched over, wondering when my next carpal tunnel surgery is going to be? I'm here to make my life easier. And also, 0 out of 10 do not recommend carpal tunnel syndrome. Had it, and it sucks.
yeah, brace, brace, brace. Things I wish I'd known when I was younger. All right, you guys, let's get started. We have one question in QA about novel 90. We're not going to talk a lot about novel 90 today, so I might leave that question for Becca, but watch the chat, Kelly, talking about base camp.
Oh,
So we are here to talk about planning, though. And before we get into this, with so many first timers, what is AutoCrit? Why are we here? Other than doing amazing, epic 90-day writing challenges that just kicked off yesterday. We here at AutoCrit was designed by writers for writers, and our goal is to help you as fellow writers plan, write, edit, format, and do market research on your book among a community of supportive, encouraging peers. So all the tools, all the features that you're going to see over the next several weeks with us here in AutoCrit 101 were designed specifically to make our lives easier. And I say our because we do use these tools. I bought my lifetime pro membership at AutoCrit in 2019, and they didn't bring me on board their team until 2022. So I was here several years before they brought me on. And I'm honored to be here leading this course so that I could show you how I implement a lot of these things in my own personal works. I'm going to pull up my own writer's desk today. But this is designed for you by people who get it, who understand. that time is money, that time means sleep, that time means family. So let's go make the best books we can while also being respectful of time. The good news about AutoCrit, probably one of the best features about AutoCrit, is that you don't have to do this journey alone. You have a full community of people that are going to be alongside you the whole ride from planning to post publication and working on the next book. And that includes coaches like Becca and Kat and I. That includes a 100% human support team manning that help bubble 7 days a week for you guys. We want you to succeed and we want to be part of that journey. So where we are in the journey today is planning. We're going to talk about planning. Next week, we'll talk about drafting, and then we're going to sneak in a class between drafting and dev editing specifically for reverse outlining, that first big step. So pantsers, if you're here more out of curiosity, we'll talk about what a pantser is shortly. We are going to pick up outlining in that in-between drafting and dev editing phase. From there, we'll move into technical editing. So we'll talk about line editing and copy editing, and then we will get into formatting and publishing your book and how to do market research. So this whole series, everything AutoCrit offers is to be here for you. One central place, one central community for you to go and put your books out in the world. All right. I know new people ask this a lot, so we're going to go ahead and just talk about it and move on with our class. Just an important clarification on AI-assisted brainstorming tools. AI is a powerful thing, and like many other powerful things, it can be used a lot of different ways. We understand that in the publishing industry, there are currently two fields, AI-generated and AI-assisted. And AI-generated means the AI-generated part or all of a manuscript. AI-assisted means that AI helped point out places that you could fix your manuscript. AutoCrit is safely in that second category. We do not ever train on any of our members' work. We do not generate anything for your manuscript's content, not even on a sentence rephrasing level. We don't write or rewrite your work. We retain no rights to your work. You keep 100% of everything that you write. So you are safely AI assisted. That means that if you use a retailer, we'll say like Amazon, you don't have to check mark the box saying AI generative unless you generated something outside of AutoCrit and brought it in. So you can take that off your worries as we go through the brainstorming tools today. Now, let's plan a book. We are going to talk about writing styles here. Why? Because your writing style determines how much or little you can get away with planning. I say as the head of Team Pantser who hates planning with a burning passion, and Becca's here to balance me out. How many of you who already know these terms know where you fall? If you do, drop it in the chat. Got Becca's hand up as the proud Team Plancer coach. These three writing styles come down to how much organization you need before the pen hits the page or your fingers hit the keyboard. Planner, since Kat, our coach for Team Planner, is still asleep in Australia right now, Team Planner is going to be the team that outlines their outlines. I'm saying my husband is a planner and he has whole double-digit pages full of outlining notes, stickies everywhere, character dossiers, anything that could be planned, he plans, and then he very tentatively starts to write. That's planning. Planting, Becca, you want to share what planting is?
Yeah, so planting is that beautiful middle, right? It's not the messy, muddy middle, it's the beautiful middle where we have a little bit of organization. We do like a little bit of guardrails, but we also want to have some creative freedom. I like my characters to sometimes drive the entire book. So I might have my tropes, my themes, and my universal fantasies worked out, but how we get there could be still a little bit more discovery. So I think that is how I work as a plantser, but there's some plantsers that lean heavily towards the planning side with just a little bit of discovery. And there's also plantsers that lean heavier to the discovery side with just a little bit of planning. So you can be a plantser if you have 5 bullet points and a general idea, or you could be a plantser with a full outline and some flexibility about where you go with that.
And then pantsers are the opposite of planners. Um, we dive into a new project with a hint of an idea and a dream, and then we write to discover what happens in the story. So for me personally, as a pantser, once I know what happens in the story, I now no longer need nor want to write the story. Half the fun is figuring out what is going to happen next. So obviously, these different approaches mean you are going to either dive in at this first step with a first draft. That means you're actually writing your story out, or you are going to outline. Yes, the sticky note wall like crazy. And yes, AutoCrit does have tools that can replace your sticky note wall, and we're going to see them in progress today. The first thing we need to pin down is our premise. What is a premise? And don't worry, nonfiction folks, we have slides for you in this round of AutoCrit 101, so don't go anywhere. Fiction folks, we're looking for a premise. A premise should be a 1 or 2 sentence summary of your story's primary plot. Give us a nutshell version. Something you can do to discover what should be in your premise is use the MAPS acronym. We're going to map out our story. So in our maps, we need main characters. We need to add pressure to those characters to get them out of whatever life was like and get them moving. They need a primary story goal that they're trying to achieve through the story, and then there should be stakes, something that is at risk if they don't achieve their primary story goal. Nonfiction. You are looking for a topic, not a premise. So nonfiction authors, your topics should focus on pain points or key information that you are trying to give your readers and that the readers will walk away from understanding better. So why does your reader need your book? What are you going to share with them that will leave them walking away with the knowledge that they need, right? And how exactly does your specific book fix their problems? And AutoCrit has fiction and nonfiction tools. So the first question I get the most as a coach, and I know Becca gets this too, is my premise even worth writing? Why even bother wasting the time? Well, that is where market fuel comes in. And you might go, wait, hold on, this is class 1, market fuel? But market fuel has pre-writing features that help you determine the quality of your idea, the marketability of your idea before you spend the time doing it.
Can I jump in real fast, Catherine?
Absolutely.
I want to specify this is if you are planning to publish and sell your book for commercial gain. If you are like, I want to write my book because I don't care about selling it. I don't care about anything. This is just a lifelong dream to tell this story. Then market fuel may be less relevant to you. But we're putting this into, if you are planning to either indie publish, query, to go trad publish, or direct sales, or what have you, to put your book for sale for other people, then you're going to be thinking a little bit about that marketing and market positioning. So I just want to put that caveat on there because I know we do have some folks that are like, no one else but me is going to see this, but I still want to write it. And if that is you, I want to encourage you to write whatever the heck you want. Live your best life and do your art. Now I'm going to stop yapping.
Yeah, yeah, so true. Now, before we get to questions, I'm going to show you market fuel in action because this wouldn't be AutoCrit 101 if I just spent the whole time lecturing at you guys. So I have pulled up my AutoCrit account. Let me just share that. Whoops. Hold on. I'm going to get out of the slides for a second here. There we go. Technology. All right, so in my AutoCrit account right here, this is your dashboard. Now, every single one of you on this call has AutoCrit. Otherwise, you would not be tuned in on this call. You had to come into AutoCrit to join. If you're watching the replay or you're watching on YouTube, then when you create an AutoCrit account, this is what you will see when you log in. So from here, we have these tabs on the left-hand side. we are going to go to the Writer's Desk tab in order to start our planning. Now, we're not quite in outlining yet. We're determining the marketability of our idea right now to decide if we want to do that. So to do it before we know we want to write it, we're going to click Story Ideas. And you can start a fiction or nonfiction story idea here. Both of these have this pre-written market fuel ability in it. So we're going to start a fiction one. Now, somebody throw out their favorite kind of animal, because otherwise it's going to be a quokka.
It's gonna be a capybara.
Capybara. Oh yeah, let's do platypus for Teen Confused. There you go. All right, so we have platypus, Penelope the platypus. Now, Penelope the platypus is living her best life, is living her dream as a baker in the northern district of, we'll just say, the platypus in Shreveport, in the northern district of Shreveport. Now, thank you guys. This is fantastic. What is something that happens? What sets her story in motion? She's already living her dream life as a baker. Okay, a baker, so obviously a romance, probably Hallmark. Her bakery starts on fire when her competitor accidentally catches her bakery on fire. No, really, it was an accident. She finds herself smitten with rage, but also intrigue by the extremely clumsy sloth. You guys. All right. So we have competitor coming to town. It does feel sort of Hallmark. They're setting up this bakery, and the bakery accidentally catches fire, and she loses her dream. So, goals. What's the goal? She wants her dream life back, and the sloth's company to pay with that money, she'd be set for life. However, obstacle. What's the obstacle? The sloth's company is actually broke. Love it. And a corrupt fireman accuses her of insurance fraud.
What?
Can Penelope, so goal, overcome the false claims and reclaim her dream? Or does she actually start a new dream with her mysterious sloth friend?
And the
Okay.
sloth be part of the sloth mafia, please, Catherine.
Okay,
Because
we
I'm
need
getting
about
mafia
200
vibes.
words here in our premise for market fuel to work. If it's under 200 words, it's not going to work all the way. So we have this premise. We're going to go to market fuel. And you guys, I have no idea what it's going to say about this. None whatsoever. But what I'm looking for, while there's a lot of great things here, is primarily the market analysis. Because the rest of these tools, while they are helpful and you can play around with them, go try them out to your little researching heart's content, they are subjective because they won't be able to pinpoint 100% a good comp until the book's written. So I would save those other types of market fuel for later on, and we will have a class for that. What we want is this overview. So here on our market analysis overview, we have an overview of the concept that we just talked about. It says it blends mystery, comedy, and adventure with a unique animal cast and anthropomorphic characters. Um, let's see, target audience. It says this would be a good book potentially for young adults and adults, a blend of dark humor, crime intrigue, and quirky character dynamics. Family and animation fans and genre enthusiasts who love that neo noir quirky mysteries. So if we weren't sure who we could market this to, this is it. Now, if you already have an established genre, this matters a little more, or established platform, it matters a little more than if you don't, because then you're facing a decision. If I tried to market this to my audience, they would be confused. I write dark, borderline grimdark epic fantasy. And this is cute and whimsical and amazing, but I might be throwing my book to an audience that doesn't want it if I put it out under this pen name that you guys know me as. So, do I make a new pen name and put it out that way? Do I just write it as a fun side gig? What do I want to do with it? Well, I can make that decision based on what this says here. Or do I want to write something else and go, that's a really fun idea. I'll work on it from time to time. But in all seriousness, for Novel 90, the writing challenge, I want to write something else that's a bit more marketable. Market trends and marketable for me because my platform is already built. So there is a rise in trend for this, a demand for offbeat genre bending narratives, and there's this nostalgia factor that creeps in here that it's pointing out as a potential strength. It's also going to be a little competitive because of graphic novels that are rising in popularity, the fact that indie publishing is rising in popularity within these genres, and that it is going to be in competition with some family ones. So if we scroll down, we have our unique selling points that we could lean on. Potential distribution, so to consider doing it as either a graphic novel or a regular novel. Consider pitching it as an animation, doing merch with it. There's niche appeal to this, and there's also the opportunity, though, for confusion with this genre. So the system is a system, it's not a person. Take everything it says with a slight grain of salt, but it's a good knowledge that if I was looking at this, I am not seeing this market fuel feature tell me, like it has on some of my other ideas, that this would be a good piece to query right now. So if my goal is to query, maybe this isn't the one. But it has a specific niche that's growing. So if I want to self-publish it and grab this niche, maybe this would be fine. So use this as a guide to help you decide where you want to prioritize the story ideas you write next. All right. Questions before we move on to our outlining. This is a pro member perk, and I'm glad you brought that up. So all the tools that we will be showing in AutoCrit 101 are part of the pro member exclusive writer's desk. Now, the thing about AutoCrit Pro is it is unlimited. We don't have caps. We don't make you use tokens. We don't make you use credits. We don't make you wait 24 hours to run your next chapter. You can run an entire book series through our tools today if you want to, and that's fine. But if you want to have access to Pro during this Novel 90 challenge that just kicked off, we are running a Novel 90 related special for Pro memberships. Normally, our monthly memberships are $30 a month, and then you get a discount for going ahead and grabbing an entire year. But if you would like to get it for Novel 90, you can get a 6-month membership for $90, and that breaks down to $15 a month. So I believe Becca has the link for that. And there's also on your account, if you try to go to any of these tools, it will give you an offer for 50% off your first month of a monthly membership. So you can try them and see if they're a good fit for you before investing in something longer if you wish. All right. Yes, this report is powered by generative AI, but it will not generate content for your book again. So I can't take that premise and go, click, write my book. You have to write the book.
I will also add is that we have absolutely no training on third party inside. We are a closed system. So we have a proprietary blend of software. That's how we're developed. And we pull from different sources, but there's no third party training anything on your work is not shared with, like, for example, people get worried that it might be shared within other AutoCrit users. There is no sharing or access of your work. The only time we can ever access your work is in the instance of a support request where we have your written consent to go into your file and fix something that you have expressly asked us to fix. That is the only time your work is ever accessed by anyone other than you. We take security of your work very seriously. I keep my work, and I publish every 7 weeks. I'm writing 180,000 words a month, and I keep my work in AutoCrit because I have that security. So just I know that that's a concern for a lot of us, and I just want to be very upfront about it. So, again, to you, Catherine, I keep interrupting your presentation, and I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Got some good questions going in the chat. Someone asked about lifetime. We do have lifetime memberships. If you would like to convert your existing account to lifetime, please message into our support bubble, because again, that's fully human. Our team can pull up your billing account and help you get that converted over. Yeah. And lifetime does. We have lifetimers on this call. I see Tim on this call at least. We have lifetimers on this call. Every time we roll out new features, they get these new features at no extra charge. We don't come back and go, oh, it's been 3 years and everybody else has these new features and you have to pay extra for them. That's just mean. So no, we don't do that. All right. Yes, it has been updated in the past year. We launched 5 brand new tools just last weekend and revamped the story analyzer. Come back for the developmental editing week to see all of those, or go to YouTube and watch the demo that Kevin did with Becca last Saturday. Great questions. All right. So once you decide on a story, you decide on a premise. And like I said, there is a nonfiction version that you saw out there. You can throw your nonfiction story idea in there too and see what challenges and strengths you would get that way. It's time to actually start with the plan. So we have our premise, that part's done, but now we need to flesh it out. We are going to start with world building. World building comes in 2 levels, the immediate scene setting level and the big picture level. Immediate scene setting level is the mental image you are painting in your reader's mind. It should call on where the story is taking place in that moment. What do these characters sense? What do they see? What do they smell? What do they hear? What do they feel? What temperature is it? What is going on around them? What is the aura where they live, or where they work, or where they play, or where they are at this specific scene? And we should have an idea of this activity because that keeps us grounded and there and not just reading about a character. Then we have big picture world building. Big picture world building is focused more on that broad location. What planet is this on? What universe is this in? What city is it in? What time period is it? Who is in political power? And how does that affect your main characters? Who is in religious positions? Is religion oppressed or in control of things in your world? How does the culture affect your main character's life? Cultural expectations about love, about education, about work ethic, about the way you live your life on a day-to-day basis. And what resources do your characters have that are going to aid or hinder them as they go through the journey you are about to send them on? Nonfiction authors. Remember, we're going to get to you in just a minute. I do see your comment. We have not forgotten you. World building is relevant to nonfiction. I'll tell you why. But remember, for the fiction people, that good world building sets scenes we can see in our mind's eye while we read. It lays down the rules and the cultural norms within which our main character has to live. And it helps us relate to them because of the challenges and the opportunities and the dreams that they have. It can serve as obstacles or boons. It is not always negative. Now, nonfiction, as I just said, world building is still essential. World building is not literally making up a fake world. World building is setting a good scene and also going deeper. So if I was going to write a self-help book, I would need to establish Who is in political power right now of the country where this book is to be released? What kind of cultural norms are in place where the readers are that are reading this book? Can my readers relate to my work, or am I writing a piece of nonfiction solely from my purview and it's not going to make sense where I'm releasing it? But we have to get deeper and research the world and build out the world and show that we understand their world when we write a nonfiction piece. All right, we're going to do characters, and then I'm going to show you where you can put all this stuff in your AutoCrit account. Characters are also part of the planning process, and characters usually include a protagonist and then a big cast of side characters. Protagonists have a clear arc. That means they start as one person at the beginning, and then they grow or they hit rock bottom, depending on what kind of arc you give them. And then they become a different person in some way by the end. If your main character has zero growth, and that's not an intentional stylistic choice, like you're writing the classic mystery series like Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock Holmes is the same in every single book. If that is not a purposeful stylistic choice, you might not have a fully fleshed out main character. So you have to plan a clear arc for them. The main character or primary protagonist, you can have multiple main characters, but your primary protagonist is usually the person we meet first. And we meet them first because they have the highest impact on the main story goal. So we open Lord of the Rings, we meet Frodo first, because Frodo is the one on whom everything else in the story hinges. There's a lot of other POV characters, but if Frodo doesn't get the ring into the fires of Mount Doom, the world will end and nothing that anybody else does matters. So we meet him first. They have the highest impact of the story. The uniqueness of your main characters makes them essentially the main character. There is a reason Frodo has to be the one to carry that ring, because Frodo is the only one able to resist its lure as long as it does. And it shows what would have happened if Galadriel touched it. What would have happened if Gandalf had carried it? What would have happened to Aragorn, because we see what happens to Boromir. So it had to be him for a very specific reason. So there has to be a reason that this main character is the main character. And then the main character has to be relatable. So when we're fleshing out this main character, these are all things that we need to have in the forefront of our mind, along with the standard wants and needs and fears and desires, because that's something every human being has. So even your side characters should have wants and needs and fears. They don't know they're a side character in someone else's story. They think they're living their story. So we have to flesh everybody out there. Now, alongside our protagonist is a whole bunch of side characters, a lot. The side characters serve clear roles to either guide or encourage or hinder or even harm our main character. And don't worry, AutoCrit does not expect you to memorize all of these archetypes or figure them out on your own, because we know there's a lot of them. We're going to show you where you can find that list. So here for nonfiction, if you are writing a memoir, the people we read about in your memoir are your characters. And we expect some level of growth, and we do expect wants and needs and fears. And one of the challenges in writing memoir is getting outside of our own head to imagine what their wants, needs, and fears could be, so that they're not just shallow plot holding devices in your life story, that we see what could have driven them from an objective view. So I feel you, memoir people. It's hard to do, but these characters, these people in your life serve these different roles, and you have to put them in that role and know that someone might shift. Your antagonist might become your lover. Your lover might become your antagonist at some point in your life. Prescriptive, your reader, your avatar is your focus. Prescriptive nonfiction is often written in second person point of view. The author is telling the readers things that they feel, that they do, that they know, as if they know us. So they have to try to get in a broad group of people's heads. But ultimately, even though this is nonfiction, identifying and relating to people's wants and needs and fears is valid, regardless of the genre. And if you can identify it, it will make your work stronger. So this is where our story builder comes in. Go ahead and stop this right here. I do see the multi-POV question. We're going to talk about that some. Here we go. Going back to our dashboard. Now at this point, by the time we are ready to write, we should already have our premise nailed down. So what we're going to do is, instead of staying in the builder out here where we can't sticky note to our heart's content, we are going to go into projects and files. This is where our books live. And we're going to start a blank document if you're doing the whole process in AutoCrit. Now, if you've written outside of AutoCrit, you can bring your work in. We have articles in our little help bubble here on how to bring in your work. So just go to search for help, type in upload, and go through AutoCrit upload options, and it will walk you through. But for the sake of today, assuming you're starting from scratch with us, you'll click a blank document, which will open a file like this. This is where you can type your story, but it's also where you can connect the story builder that you started outside and put that idea in for market fuel so that you can flesh it out more. I'm going to go to the planning tab. It's the very first tab at the top. And here you'll find both a fiction and a nonfiction story builder, and you can click either one. The differences come down to what is filled out down here. So if I scroll down, I will see an audience avatar. This is that term I mentioned a second ago. Instead of characters, nonfiction has avatars. Who are you writing this book to? What knowledge level do they have? What grade level do they have to have completed in order to understand the piece that you're writing? Cultural background of the people you are writing to. What problems are you solving for them? And then by comparison, how are you somebody they can relate with? What is your credibility? What is your personal experience? These are things they are going to want to see on the page before they trust you to give them life advice. All right, we'll get down to the actual story beats here in just a minute. We're going to come back. Now going over to the fiction side, we're going to link this builder about Penelope that we just built. So it brought my premise over, and now I have world building. So I could say I have Penelope, or she's in northern Shreveport, right? But scrolling down just a little bit, we have protagonists and antagonists and relationship characters, which are the mentor figures, and distraction characters, which try to keep the main character from doing their story goal. All of these boxes have a small information bubble to the right. And you can hover over this bubble that will show you exactly what kind of role this is supposed to be filling. Now, you can have one character fill more than one role. You can have a love interest who also serves as a relationship character, or a love interest that serves as a distraction character, because even though it's not malicious, they keep wanting them to go on dates with them instead of saving the world. Look at a lot of our superheroes. Love interest, distraction, keeping them from doing their duty, or love interest, mentor. So you can have an opposition character who was also their logic character. They try to use logic to get in their way, but they also are the ones that reason for them. So you can hover over any of these things to see who this should be. Now, when we talk about multiple POV, you can have more than one character in these boxes, and I strongly recommend that if you're going to have more than one. I write multi-POV almost exclusively, anywhere from 2 to 5 characters on average, but there's still one primary, because whoever is in chapter 1 is the person readers will attach to no matter what you want. We meet Penelope first, so no matter how much time I give the sloth, it is Penelope's story in the reader's mind. And then the sloth is the person who came into her life. You could have thrown any other love interest into her life, and it still would have been Penelope's story to the reader, right? So, who are you introducing first? Congratulations. They're your primary character most of the time. It's rare to come across one that the both characters get equal investment from readers. I don't know, Becca, if you're on still, if you wanted to say anything about that, because you write multi POV too, right?
I write too many POV. So I write Y2 sometimes. So there's like 6 different people sharing screen time. Yes, you can introduce multiple people in the front. You could bring people in later on. It's just really confusing. We're always thinking about reader experience. So if I spend the first, got this question last cycle for Novel 90, and someone said, my main character does not come into the book until chapter 6. That was like, okay, how long is your book? Is this 200,000 words? Like, how long is it? They're like 60,000 words. Okay, if the average chapter is, let's call it 2,000 words, then we're already a chunk into that book before we meet your main character. Could that technically, like, I know people come at me if I say everything has a black or white rule on this. Could that technically, with the right literary things, somehow be pulled off? Yes. Is it generally confusing, though, to your reader if you just spent 6 chapters getting to know other characters that are not actually your mains? You're just getting to know your side characters, I guess. There needs to be some continuity. There's a reason why we ask for these characters to come up. Their page time comes up earlier. So I guess that would be, can in the world of literary we do whatever we want as an author? Technically, yes, we're driving this ship one way or the other. But from a reader experience, from a sellability experience, sellability, from marketability, it's good to fit into some conventions there. And one of those is making sure your protagonist is being introduced early and not in the middle of your book. Did I answer that in a less rambly way than I intended it to be? Not rambly,
Yeah, no, it was
but
good.
I'm on
Yeah.
my third Dr. Pepper of the day, so nothing can be
And
just gonna
someone
go.
asked, how did we get here again? So we opened a blank file and clicked the planning tab and then either fiction or nonfiction story builder. And when you do that, it will prompt you to either link your story idea or to start a new one that's blank. So you can do that there. So let's see. We've gone over characters. Now there's a brainstorming aspect to the system. While the system will not write anything for you, it can help you brainstorm, which you'll be relieved to hear is usually considered AI assisted as well and not AI generative because it's not generating content. It's the same thing as if I asked Becca, hey, what should I have the platypus do here? And she gave me several ideas and I picked one to go with. She didn't write them, and I thank her for the idea and maybe send her some coffee or Dr. Pepper, but it's still me doing all the work myself, every single word. So in your different fields, you can click auto generate new idea and it will read all the other boxes that you have written and give you ideas. So here's some ideas. If this is in Northern Shreveport, it has this mix of urban greenery and wild patches. Now, this is a great start, but sometimes it never hurts to go do a little research on your own and make sure that that's actually factual. Most of the time it is, but better safe than sorry. So I've got a general idea of the environment and how it might affect the story. And I can type in this box, go research XYZ. I can add, I can take out, I can adjust this. I could say, I don't like this impact on the story, so I'm just going to get rid of it. But I like knowing everything else and then go on to brainstorm other things. But those tools are there. Now, the brainstorming tools will not take an idea that you have and go deeper with it, though, unless you put it in a different box. So up here, we mentioned Penelope the platypus. If I come down here to protagonist and I click this button, because I mentioned Penelope in the premise box, this will go deeper into what she could be. But if I hadn't mentioned her, it would just come up with another type of character. So this says two protagonists, right? Remember, you can have more than one in a box. The first, Penelope the platypus. and the other is the clumsy sloth. So we have Penelope the platypus's wants, needs, fears, growth, audience appeal. And then down here, we have the clumsy sloth. Name isn't specified right now, so we would have to give the clumsy sloth a name. And here are things that maybe the sloth could want. And it has to branch out more with the sloth because it's not really clear what we want of the sloth. So when we go through this, we go, oh, that's a good idea. This is where those stickies come in, you guys. There is a little yellow sticky note on the top of these sections. And if you click copy to note, it will add it to this notes button in your top right corner. And then in here, if you are like me, you can type for yourself, add details, so you can tell at a quick glance what needs to happen. It's got two protagonists, right? But the sloth is the one that I don't know what to do with. So the sloth, what's the name? What's the want? I could go down that list and leave questions for myself to come back to and flesh out before I put pen to page if I'm a planner, or to fill out as I figure it out if I'm a pantser or a planter. So this is how you would do that. So find the field you want to save and then click copy to note, and then it will save it to notes, and you click the yellow button in the top right corner. Now, if I wanted to have it go deeper on the sloth, the point I was making originally, and I see I need to clarify this, I can't come here to this section and type the sloth's name is Earl and hit generate and it keep that information, because it will get rid of it the second I click the button. Whatever is in that box is gone the second you click that button. You're asking it for a whole new idea. So if you want the system to learn that the sloth's name is Earl, you have to add it somewhere else, maybe up here in this box. So she finds herself with an extremely clumsy sloth named Earl. Now when I go down and I run protagonist, it will take that new information into consideration and it will give me suggestions with the sloth named Earl. So if you want to take an idea and go deeper, find a different box for it. See here, Earl the sloth. All right, we have one more key area that we are plotting out in our story, and this is going to come down to beats. And this is one of those things that's better shown in action than on a slide. So here they are. A beat or an outline can be done directly in your builder with everything else. AutoCrit has most of the common beats, but also a general outline box. If there is an outline style that you like specifically, you could copy the beats that would be in that outline and put it into the outline box and use that to track out what you would like to plan. But for the most part, most of us write character-centered stories. We write plot-centered stories, action and adventures. We write romances, mysteries, horrors over here in fiction, and short story has its own. On the nonfiction side, we have an outline for self-help, persuasive, historical and narrative, general that you can again copy and paste in if you wish, and informational. So as you go through trying to figure out what to write in what order for your book so that readers get what they are used to seeing, this walks you through. Typically in an informational piece, you would have an introduction, followed by the reason they need to read your book, followed by your credibility, and then the theme, the problem you're fixing, and then examples of ways that they could fix it, and then a conclusion. So this is our typical setup there. Over on the fiction side, underneath beats, we have plot-centered, we'll just say romance. Here we are talking about Penelope the Sloth, and the sloth. We have the character introduction. We meet Penelope, so happy, talking to her friends about the 10th anniversary of her dream bakery. And then the meet cute. Oops, clumsy sloth catches the back of the store on fire in a genuinely entirely accidental and comedic way. And she sees him and thinks, how can someone this good looking be this stupid? Then we have the debate. I both want to know more about this person and I also want to sue them for everything they're worth. And then the story goes on from there. So you can use these beats as a guide. And if you hover over the information bubbles will remind you what these beats should be and what they mean. All right, we're going back to our slides. We're almost to a question point. Here we go. So let's see. Your books are typically plot centered. Can you use character centered to help balance it out? I think you might be better off if you want your piece to be a plot centered piece because there's nothing wrong with it being a plot centered book. You might be better off leaving it plot centered and then focus on character development in your developmental editing phase, Jennifer, because plot centered story lovers, we're going to take classic action. They like stories to open with big explosions, chase scenes, something big and dramatic happens. Character centered lovers want a slow startup typically. They want to see the character living their normal life. And then action sets their story in motion, not vice versa. So you'd have to change your whole story structure to sort of fit it in that other one. So it depends on what you want your story to be. How would you have an outline for romantasy that pulls both romance and fantasy in equal measure? I would use the romance beat sheet for that, wouldn't you, Becca?
So in order for it to be romantic fantasy, which is romantasy, and we actually have we're very excited. We have a check your email soon for romantasy related content. But romance still needs to be in a really, really, it needs to be the main point. The love story has to be a primary driver. Otherwise, it's fantasy with a subplot that's romance. If you want it to be romantasy, then it's the romance inside of the fantasy. So yes, it's not always 50-50. I would use romance first because without that, I would have a harder time marketing that as romantasy if that love story is not getting top billing. Did I explain that well?
Yeah.
I think, okay. I'm
Um,
second guessing being able to speak today. I apologize. The
you're good.
words, they're not working.
Somebody asked about offline mode. So in AutoCrit, there is an offline mode. If you have your builder open before you go offline, before you disconnect from the internet, you have to leave your AutoCrit page up. But if you leave the builder open, you can type in it and it will keep everything you type. You can't generate anything in it offline because obviously it can't talk to the system to generate, but like brainstorming. But you can type in it. Just remember to go back online before you close your window or you will lose your work. It has to save online. So pull it up, keep it up, do all the writing you want to do in it, and then connect to the internet and click save. And we have people who do this on airplanes. They open AutoCrit, they open whatever report or tool they want to work through while they're on the plane. Then they go offline and then they hit airplane mode. They work the whole time they're on the plane. And the second that plane says you can use your wireless devices, they connect to the internet and immediately save. And then they've made great use of that time on that airplane. And because AutoCrit is 100% web-based, you can use it on your phone. You can use it on a tablet. You can use it on a laptop. And we don't require you to use an app, so you don't have any platform restrictions either. You can just sign in through Google Chrome on your phone like I do and write and then save, and then you're good to go. So next time on AutoCrit 101, we are going to come back and talk about drafting, and we're going to show writing tools. We're going to talk about ways you can set up writing sprints for yourself, as well as join community ones. We're going to talk about productivity and accountability and goals and all that good stuff. So we have crossed out the planning phase. 2 weeks from today at the same time, we'll be back to talk about drafting. If you would like some community engagement along this journey, join us for the free Novel 90 writing challenge that just kicked off. We would love to have you. Go to www.novel90.com. This is a 90-day challenge. October is planning month. Well, you get a whole month to plan your book with us. And Kat on Team Planner has milestones that you're supposed to follow every day to get this done. Then we have our editing month in December, our writing month in November, and we have a fully finished full-length novel that is 50,000 words or more by the end of this year. So if you have a story that you have been working on, you can bring a work in progress with you. If you have a story that you've dreamt of writing and it's not done, this is your chance. And Becca and Kat and I will all personally be coaching you every single step of the way. Let me show you guys. It says, where do you save your document? I think that's a good place to show the system one last time and end off. AutoCrit saves your file for you every few minutes automatically as long as you are online. But there is also a manual save button right here on the right. So just click save, and you can also make copies of it. But save your file here. We'll talk about co-writing next week. We have co-writing capabilities here. Your files live right here in your project folders down on your Writer's Desk dashboard. All right, Becca, any parting thoughts on your end?
Well, you know, I always have thoughts. The calendar is located here, so I am putting it in the chat. This calendar needs to be where, definitely favorite it, heart it, not heart it, bookmark it, something. This is going to give you, the best resource for finding what's going on. If you missed, for example, the Novel 90 replay, you're going to go over to past events and you're going to click that and you'll see that the recordings for the Novel 90 replay are there. And I just dropped it in here. We also have things like classes. If it says premium, then it is a cost. If it says free or if it has anything to do with Novel 90, there is no cost to anything Novel 90 related. If it has the teams, like we have pantsers, we have planners that are doing check-ins this weekend. I'm not doing my check-in for planners until the middle of the week next week. And so these are things you could go to. Pro members have genre clubs and other events that you could be part of. So if you're a monthly, semi-annual, annual, or lifetime member, you can go to any of the pro events for free.
And next Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. or next Wednesday, I'm a day off. Next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, you see Central here because it shows the time in your local time zone. We are doing an Ask Us Anything in AutoCrit office hours. So please come bring questions about the planning tools, about the notes, anything you want to see shown on the screen and ask there. Or again, click our human support team's help bubble. We affectionately call ourselves the bubble team, and click send us a premium or send us a message and we will answer you. So that distinction for events, pro events are for AutoCrit Pro members. That's that $90 6-month special that Becca dropped earlier, or the $15 first month special if you click on any of the locks in your Writer's Desk. That gives you full access to the AutoCrit Writer's Desk. So the planning, writing, editing, formatting, and market research tools, as well as any event on this calendar that is labeled Pro Member, like this one, and the Pro Member Community Forums in yellow. Novel 90 folks who are not Pro members yet, they can go to the free Novel 90 Academy Basecamp, and there are forum posts for your teams there. The free members have access to a sample membership as well for the Writer's Desk to go in and try out a couple of the reports to see if you like the system. And then premium memberships are for the AutoCrit Academy, which has its own monthly live pass. So if you are a horror or dark fiction fan, for example, instead of paying $149 for Nightmare Fuel, you can get the Academy Pass this month for $149 and get everything, dark fiction, Nightmare Fuel, all of that for that, or you can purchase the courses individually. So premium is Academy. They require a purchase or an Academy Pass to join. Pro requires a pro membership to join, and free is open to everyone. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Please do message us. You are not bothering us. You don't have to wait for our next class to, to send us a question. But thank you so much. And thank you, Becca, for being on.
Of course. And for my Novel 90 folks, you're going to get an email, but it's a little late for me to send it today. So it'll be coming into you tomorrow that it's going to have the workbook slash guide handbook thing that goes along with Novel 90. So for those of you that are like, I want to move forward and move ahead on different steps and you need it in a written form that's downloadable, check your email tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.